7 long years after Dragon Ball Super's anime ended, the time has finally come to update the ranking of the 20 strongest characters in the entire franchise. This list is based only on official material, taking into account both the manga and the brand new Dragon Ball Daima season. Together, these two works have more than doubled the overall size of the series' canon, and since none of us here are actually going to see the true ending of Dragon Ball Super Return anytime before we go gray, especially with the franchise stuck in a rather complicated legal dispute after the author's passing, let us get straight to what matters. Who are the strongest according to the manga and the anime? In 20th place, Goten and Trunks. The biggest disappointment of Dragon Ball Super was going over 130 episodes without Goten and Trunks evolving at all, but in the manga, the story is different. The two of them are finally getting some real focus, and this month the manga returns after a year-long break with them as the new protagonists. We are now seeing how they decided to become superheroes. In the 2022 movie, we met Dr. Hedo, grandson of Dr. Gero, the creator of Android 17, 18, and Cell, a true genius. Hedo had already developed several projects even before the androids that appeared in the movie, like Alpha and Beta, which actually served as the basis for the Gammas over in the manga. In a story with a real American high school vibe to it, Goten and Trunks faced off against Hedo's very first creations. Even though they can still technically use Super Saiyan, they are really only just getting back into fighting shape here. With what the future holds, Goten and Trunks will definitely climb up this list eventually, and if you want to follow this new chapter of the story, go ahead and subscribe here on the channel. In 19th place, we have Android 18. There was a time when she and her brother were among the strongest, and Android 18 even humiliated Vegeta in one fight. But the years went by, and even though she is still far more powerful than any Earthling, the androids dropped positions in the ranking, so much so that Android 18 almost missed the top 20 entirely. Even so, she showed off impressive strength in the Tournament of Power, especially in the manga. That said, her focus today is no longer on battles, but on her family with Krillin, so it is likely that before long, she will not even show up here anymore. In 18th place, we have Kaba. Now we bump things up a level in the power ranking. After the Tournament of Power, Kaba believed that Vegeta had won the tournament and restored his universe, and ever since then, he has been anxiously waiting for the promised visit from the Saiyan Prince to Sadala. Unfortunately, we never got to see Kaba's evolution after that, since the manga never showed him again. Even so, based purely on his past feats alone, he already has enough power to potentially surpass every single character from Dragon Ball Z. After all, he fought Vegeta of Dragon Ball Super on completely equal footing, while both of them were still in their base forms, and as we know, transformations always multiply a character's base power. And just like Vegeta, who according to Kami surpassed Goku after Beerus struck Buu, it would not be surprising if Kaba, in his Super Saiyan 2 form during the Tournament of Power, already had a level surpassing Goku's Super Saiyan 3 from the Majin Buu saga. Now just imagine if the Saiyans of Universe 6 discovered the Super Saiyan God ritual. Almost every one of those warriors has the pure heart required for the ritual. We might have the greatest army in the entire multiverse, would we not? In 17th place, we have Caulifla, Sadala, as explained in the manga. Of course, both she and Kaba and Kaylee are still going through a stage of development that Goku and Vegeta moved past a long time ago, but being Saiyans, a warrior race with a long history of battle, at least in Caulifla's case, and especially Kaba's, it is inevitable that they keep evolving over time. Who knows, maybe in the future we will get an entire saga set in Universe 6, something similar to what was done in Dragon Ball Kakume, the best fan-made Dragon Ball manga ever created, and honestly, there is a video right here on the channel with every single chapter compiled together, so go check it out afterward. It is really, truly worth your time, and a lot of people even think it is actually better than the official Super manga. In 16th place, we have Anaraza. The Tournament of Power honestly ended up being a huge waste. When you really think about it, out of the 8 participating universes, only 2, maybe 3 at the absolute most, actually brought any real threat to the table. Universe 3, for example, seemed relatively weak at first, but everything changed completely once 4 warriors fused together to form Anaraza. Personally, I am really not a fan of this whole formula of turning a monster, a giant, mindless beast, into an important villain. We have already seen this happen with Hirudegarn, then with Anaraza, and more recently with Cellmax. Even so, there is no denying that in terms of raw power, Anaraza was absurd. In the Tournament of Power, it took a combined effort from several elite warriors just to take him down. However, this super-powered version of Anaraza is exclusive to the anime. In the manga, even though he continues to be a strong opponent, he is not nearly as massive and not nearly as powerful as his animated counterpart. In fact, in the comics, he was actually defeated by a character who ranks above him on this list. In 15th place, we have Kaylee. Kaylee is responsible for defeating Anaraza in the manga, and without a doubt, among the 3 strongest Saiyans of Universe 6, she is the one with the greatest latent potential. She is essentially the Universe 6 equivalent of what Broly would be in Universe 7, but with the difference that while Broly always trained both in simulated battles with his father and in practical fights against monsters, Kale never had that kind of experience. It becomes clear just how powerful she truly is, especially in the anime, where she literally wipes the floor with Vegeta's face. But even in the manga, she also shows off an impressive display of strength. What puts her above the other Saiyans of Universe 6 is her exclusive transformation, which makes us wonder whether that green key could actually be some kind of trait tied to mutant Saiyans Saiyans, especially since Broly at least keeps his green ki even in his base form. Once Kale actually starts training properly, we will very likely see a truly splendid warrior. However, just like they do with Broly, they might hold back a bit on her power growth, preventing her from reaching her true full potential too quickly. In 14th place, we have Gamma 1. Dragon Ball's newest androids made their debut in the 2022 movie, but after Gamma 2's tragic death, only Gamma 1 actually makes it onto this list, since I am only considering characters who are still alive and part of the present timeline. Gamma 1 really showed off his strength by facing Gohan in his mystic form, which was not even initially treated as an actual transformation at all, but over time came to be regarded as one anyway. We know that in this particular form, Gohan surpassed Super Buu, and many changes made by Dragon Ball Room and by Toei Animation. Because of this incredible feat, Gamma 1 secures his spot in the ranking. In 13th place, we have Dispo, one of the strongest and yet so overlooked. Dispo showed that his speed can reach levels close to those of the gods of destruction. Even though he does have a few weaknesses, he was recognized as the third strongest member of the Pride Troopers, ranking behind the two warriors chosen by Belmod, the Hakashin, as his successors. It is clear from the dialogue that Dispo is a seasoned warrior in universal scale combat, and he actually managed to fight against Goku Super Saiyan God, a level that already puts a lot of characters above him on this list. Of course, in the anime, some characters do tend to be stronger than in the manga, but that does not diminish just how powerful Dispo really is. In the Dragon Ball Kakume manga, he gets a lot of spotlight too, even though it is not canon, and I would only be recommending my compiled playlist with every Kakume chapter if I genuinely thought the series was worth your time. I will even leave the direct link for you to watch on the end screen. In 12th place, we have Android 17. Without a doubt, the character with the most notable power evolution, for me, after being overlooked for so long, was Android 17. A lot of people wondered how he got so strong, and the manga explains that after the Cell Saga, the Cell Juniors survived and were taken to an environmental preservation island, where 17 takes care of them and lives there. The android trained alongside those little creatures and managed to boost his power to the point of fighting on equal footing with Goku Blue in the anime and Goku Super Saiyan God in the manga. Considering that Goku from Dragon Ball Super, in literally any form, is colossally stronger than Goku from Dragon Ball Z, we can conclude that if 17 had already had this power back then, he could have helped eliminate Majin Buu during the Tournament of Power. He was a true hero, with his strength, endurance, infinite energy, and especially his combat ki. 17 managed to bring a huge plot twist with his victory. I genuinely believe he could beat even stronger characters using his strategy. Dispo, for example, is extremely fast, but he is nowhere near as durable as 17, who has infinite energy and withstood extremely powerful attacks during the tournament. If the fight had dragged on, Dispo would probably have run out of stamina, while 17 would have stayed just as strong, which would have given him a decisive advantage. On top of that, we need to remember that combat is not just physical. 17's strategic ability alone puts him in a far stronger position within the entire Dragon Ball multiverse. In 11th place, we have Majin Buu. A lot of people think Majin Buu never evolved in Dragon Ball Super, but that is far from the truth. In the anime, we saw him become more muscular and refine his powers, but he ended up going into hibernation mode before the Tournament of Power. That clearly happened because his abilities would have been extremely broken in a battle royale. After all, he can regenerate, absorb enemies, and even heal other fighters. Good Buu, the version that is still alive today, lost part of his strength after separating from Kid Buu. However, during the Moro Saga in the manga, he unlocked a whole new level of power by awakening the abilities of the Grand Supreme Kai, whom he had absorbed millions of years earlier. With that, Buu managed to dominate Moro with extreme ease, using the kind of ancient magic manipulation techniques typical of the old Kaioshin lineage, pulling off a feat that not even Goku and Vegeta in Super Saiyan Blue were able to accomplish. Unfortunately, this form did not last very long, and we can consider the Grand Supreme Kai's abilities to have been a natural counter to Moro's powers specifically. Even so, the fact that Majin Buu was so superior to a villain who gave even the Saiyans trouble really reinforces just how powerful. In 10th place, we have Toppo. Toppo was the first extremely powerful mortal we ever saw from outside Universe 7. Ever since his very first fight against Goku, he demonstrated the ability to use Divine Ki without needing to transform at all, something that up until then had been completely exclusive to the gods of destruction. In the anime, Toppo awakens his Hakashin form, God of Destruction, and dominates Frieza and Android 17 with ease. In the manga though, his performance is weaker, getting defeated by Golden Frieza on his own. Even so, he still has more than enough power to be a candidate for God of Destruction, and he is the second strongest in his universe, ranking right behind Jiren. Even in the anime, where his version is stronger, Toppo ends up defeated by Vegeta's Blue evolution, comparable to Goku's Super Saiyan Blue combined with Kaioken boosted 20 times over. In 9th place, we have Hit. Hit was arguably the great, attainable villain of Dragon Ball Super before the Black Saga. From his very first appearance, it was clear he is a formidable warrior, capable of standing out even against Goku, even after the Saiyan had used every single resource available to him. On top of that, Hit has the ability to evolve mid combat, refining his famous time skip technique and picking up new abilities, which made him even stronger throughout the Tournament of Power. What is genuinely sad about this character though is that he has always been described as a skilled assassin, but in both competitions, the Tournament of Destroyers and the Tournament of Power, he was not allowed to use his assassination techniques at all, since killing was strictly forbidden. This leaves his true full power as a total mystery. Even so, it was fascinating to watch how he fought against both Goku and Jiren, proving himself one of the most powerful characters in Dragon Ball Super. Now we enter a stretch of the list where the characters got the most spotlight in recent story developments. If you have not read the manga yet, some placements might seem strange, but the dialogue makes it clear who is actually the strongest, and any doubts will be cleared up by the end of the video. So let us keep going. In 8th place, we have Piccolo. Dragon Ball Super ended up creating an even bigger gap between Goku and Vegeta and the rest of the warriors, something that had already been happening since the Z Saga, but instead of getting corrected, it only got worse. Piccolo was one of those characters who watched Goku and Vegeta pull further and further ahead, but at many points throughout the story, he was just as strong or even stronger than both of them. At the very start of Dragon Ball Z, he was practically on par with Goku. During the Namek Saga, after fusing with Nail, he became stronger than both of them, all the way until Goku reached the Super Saiyan form. During the Android Saga, Piccolo became even more powerful after fusing with Kami and becoming a Super Namekian. Piccolo's massive power boost, and he happens to be Akira Toriyama's favorite character, came in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, where he gained two brand new transformations, the first one called Unlocked Potential, and the second, stronger one, Orange Piccolo. In this form, he defeated Gamma 2 with a single blow, but he was not a match for Cell Max, even though he contributed a lot to that fight. This shows that pretty much any character ranked above the villain in question can overpower Piccolo, which helps us understand the placements that follow. In 7th place, we have Broly. Now, anyone who has not read the manga is probably about to lose it, especially fans who fell in love with the animations created by Toei Animation, but the truth is, Broly is a character deeply wronged by the plot. Let me walk you through some simple reasoning. The Tournament of Power ends around chapter 40 in the manga, and close to chapter 70, with the Moro arc progressing and the Granolah arc beginning, Whis states that Goku and Vegeta are currently the strongest in the universe. All of this happens after Broly had already appeared, so it is undeniable that Broly had already been surpassed after Vegeta's training on Yardrat and Goku's training with Maris. Even so, this comes down to the fact that Broly simply cannot use his own powers properly, so it is not that hard to knock him out before he ever reaches his peak. But since Goku and Vegeta like seeing their opponents at their absolute best, they allowed Broly's gradual evolution throughout the movie. It is also worth remembering that in the manga, there is no legendary form with green hair either. It has not even been 5 chapters since Broly learned to master Super Saiyan 1, and it is clear he is still at the very beginning of his development. Despite that, it is undeniable that Broly has the potential to reach a level above everyone else, but until he can actually master his own strength, he will remain in 7th place. In 6th place, we have Vegeta, another character with a controversial spot, but it is easy to understand why, since he was objectively defeated by characters ranked above him. After the Tournament of Power, Vegeta realized he did not have the aptitude to use Ultra Instinct, so he started training on his own, and developed Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, eventually reaching a power level equal to Ultra Instinct Sign in the manga. After training with Beerus, he achieved an even stronger form, Ultra Ego. In fact, those training chapters of Vegeta, along with the fight where he awakens this form, are available right here on the channel in video format, so you can check them out whenever you want. The point is, Vegeta admitted that he could no longer be the cruel man who did not care about anything the way he was in the past, and that is exactly what is currently holding him back from using Ultra Ego to its full extent, on top of the fact that he loses to the character ranked right above him on this list, who was himself either defeated or clearly surpassed by others above him too. I am confident Vegeta will climb up this list soon once the manga returns and start showing how he trained to overcome the threat that some of you probably already know about. But until he has actually proven himself, the prince holds down the impressive 6th spot. In 5th place, we have Granolah. It is pretty obvious that Granolah would rank above Vegeta. After all, he is the one who defeated the Prince of the Saiyans while the prince was using Ultra Ego. Granolah headlined his own saga as an avenger seeking redemption for the near extinction of his people at the hands of the Saiyans of Frieza's army. Without a doubt, he was one of the most broken characters we have seen to this day, possessing incredible abilities, mastery over Hakai, reflexes similar to Ultra Instinct, speed comparable to teleportation, the ability to see the pressure points on his opponent's body, and powerful key projectiles fired off like a true sniper. In his fight against Vegeta, despite the prince having put up quite a bit of resistance, Granolah was still in good shape after the victory, and the only reason he did not finish off Vegeta was because Goku stepped in at the very last moment. He simply is not higher up the list because other characters managed to surpass this level of power. In 4th place, we have Jiren. It might seem surprising that a character who showed up so long ago and never really came back is ranked this high, but by the end, it will all make sense for you. I am basing this mainly on the fact that, in the manga, unlike in the anime, Jiren is not actually surpassed by Goku's Ultra Instinct. In the anime, he managed to hold his own in a battle against Frieza, Android 17, and Goku all at the same time, and in the manga he also deals with several warriors simultaneously. In both cases, he ended up exhausted. Granolah has immense power, but his time limit and the need to burn a significant portion of his own lifespan to reach that power puts him at a disadvantage compared to Jiren, who despite also having his own limitations, does not have that kind of physical restriction tied to combat duration. Jiren is so impressive that even in modern days, Vegeta still draws inspiration from him when it comes to learning proper ki control. On top of that, Jiren is also extremely durable and can handle physical damage over long stretches of time. It is worth remembering that he was never actually defeated, he was only knocked off the arena back when Granolah asked to become the strongest in the universe. That wish did not account for gods, and Jiren was actually stronger than his own god of destruction, although we do need to keep in mind that Beerus is stronger than Belmod. After everything, we also need to consider that Jiren has probably evolved a lot during the time he has not been shown. It would honestly be irrational to think he just stayed the same this whole time. As I mentioned, I am basing this more on the manga, since it tends to be more consistent and closer to the author's actual intent. Vegeta in Ultra Ego never surpassed Goku in Ultra Instinct. Granolah, even though he did surpass Goku, only managed to do it thanks to a mistake Goku made at the decisive moment. Jiren, on the other hand, nearly carried his entire universe to victory against everyone and everything. Who knows just how far Jiren's mentality of pushing past his limits could have taken him. So, I genuinely believe Jiren could very well have that much power right now to hold down the 4th spot, but of course, you are all free to disagree if you want. In 3rd place, we have Gohan. Without a doubt, the most impressive evolution in recent times belongs to Gohan, who awakened his form known as Beast in the most recent movie. Toriyama actually went as far as to say Gohan was the strongest of them all, but when we actually analyze the context of that interview, it becomes clear he was talking about the character's potential, basically saying that if Gohan wanted to, he could be the strongest, since he has always shown that potential. In the manga, it becomes clear that Goku and Gohan currently have almost equal power. Vegeta even mentions that Goku has an edge thanks to his combat experience. But when Gohan concentrated his entire power into a single strike, it became clear that not even Ultra Instinct could react fast enough to his speed and strength, even though the actual damage caused was not that significant. On top of that, Gohan stated that was not even his beast form's full power, but rather the maximum he could currently control at the moment, suggesting he could reach even higher levels in the future. The reason Goku still ranks above him on this list comes down precisely to his recent feats against extremely powerful villains. On top of that, the confrontation between the two of them was just a sparring match, not a fight to the death. Goku's experience, his combat tricks, and the new abilities he has developed throughout the recent sagas give him a slight edge, considering that in terms of raw power, both of them are on the exact same level. That said, if the fight had dragged on, Gohan could have gradually increased his strength and surpassed Goku. But for now, playing it conservative, Goku stays slightly ahead. In 2nd place, we have Goku. Now it is finally Goku's turn, and his placement on this list actually helps justify both Gohan's spot and the number 1 spot. Let me walk you through the simple reasoning. Vegeta lost to Granolah. Granolah lost to Gas, who is not on this list only because he is dead. Gas was actually losing to Goku even after having already beaten Granolah, and he only managed to surpass Goku after pulling even more power from the wish made by Alec. This alone already shows us that Goku, with the exception of whoever takes 1st place, was the strongest character by the end of the last major saga. When he achieved these results, Goku was using a version of Ultra Instinct called Shin, or True Ultra Instinct, as a lot of people prefer to call it. This variation of the technique allows Goku to use his emotions during combat. However, according to Beerus, the complete version of Ultra Instinct was actually more powerful, but Goku could not use it at the time because of the emotional turmoil caused by recent events, including the discovery of the truth about his father. In fact, there is a video right here on the channel that explains this really well, and the thumbnail is showing right here. You can check it out afterward. Ever since the Tournament of Power, Goku has had a major evolution, training with the Angel Maris and refining his Ultra Instinct. Even though the technique still has some limitations, it became considerably stronger, and Goku kept up his training with Whis. Nowadays, he can activate it whenever he wants, and he proves that when facing Gohan, who without a doubt reached an incredible level. Even so, Goku is not the strongest mortal at the moment, because the number 1 spot on this list is simply broken. In 1st place, we have Frieza. The Emperor of the Universe did his homework. After being revived during the Tournament of Power, he trained for 10 years in a time chamber he found on one of the planets conquered by his army, and his power grew to the point of knocking out Goku's Ultra Instinct and Vegeta's Ultra Ego with a single blow at the exact same time. On top of that, Frieza humiliated the Saiyans by sparing their lives, and he probably still holds on to his intention to one day dethrone even Beerus and Zeno. It was obvious Frieza would end up absurdly strong after training for that that long. After all, within just the first few months of training in his entire life, he had already reached the golden form, which was able to fight on completely equal footing against Goku and Vegeta Blue. Because of this massive power growth, a lot of people believe Frieza will be the villain of the next saga, but the story does not seem to be heading in that direction. In fact, I made a full video explaining why Black Frieza, as his new form is called, is not going to be a villain. Speaking of which, you have probably already noticed that the Dragon Ball content on this channel is going full steam ahead, right? So if you have made it this far into the video and still have not left a like or subscribed, now is the time. If your brain has not been completely melted by YouTube Shorts and TikTok yet, and you are not already scrolling the feed looking for your next hit of cheap dopamine, stay focused, because now comes the most important part, my reasoning and criteria for this video. To start, I did not consider gods or angels, only characters who are alive and part of the present timeline. My basis for determining these power levels was built on concrete feats, in-battle dialogue, and statements from Beerus, Wise, and Akira Toriyama himself. The power levels might shift around a bit, but this list is solid and well supported. So go ahead and subscribe and keep watching more videos from the channel like the ones mentioned throughout this video. Showing up on screen right now is the video YouTube thinks you are going to enjoy the most. Leave a like, subscribe, and see you in the next Universo Z video. That is it from me. See you.